long day yesterday, but I'm sure that each one of you found that very useful too. So for today, we have quite a bit of presentations lined up already, and we'll start our day with head-on-neck, address from one of our principal donors, one of our main donors, Dr. Gary, representing BMGF, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Gary, can you hear us, please? Gary, can you hear us? And in the second half, we have scheduled a launch of the digital tool, which is called Sitcast. Gary, can you please hear us? Total 88 participants over here, including national partners, as well as other people from other center people. And we have about 30 national partners from 11 countries in the room, and we also have a couple of them which have joined online. So yesterday was an intense day. It was a pretty long day, but then today we have lined up quite a few presentations, starting from your message, Gary. So without any further delay,
that this breeding network is making to improve the targeting of products, clarify the role of the breeding organization in the replacement of older varieties with newer varieties. We're pleased to see the increasing operation that's occurring within the nurse varieties to farmers in the face of changing climate and changing market requirements. Technological changes are making it more important than ever to work together as a collaborative network. This advancement meeting is a really important step in the development of this collaboration. The plant breeding is really the key tool we have to help African farmers adapt to the climate, get them disseminated into farmers' fields quickly, and then get them replaced with newer products, because we're not in a stable situation. Change is happening rapidly, and the idea that farmers should be growing varieties that were selected 30, 40, 50 years ago that's really dangerous for farmers. We need to provide them with adaptation in real time, and that means developing a steady stream of improved varieties for the current condition, testing them, ensuring they're superior to the previous generation of materials that are in farmers' fields, and then getting them to replace those varieties. The tool or the engine for varietal improvement for quantitative traits like yield is genomics-driven breeding, and genomics changing quickly now. And so the use of high density or mid density marker information by this network is going to both accelerate the breeding cycle by allowing us to identify parents for new crosses earlier in the breeding process. And it's also going to allow us to be much more accurate in selecting broadly adapted varieties. Right now, or traditionally, breeding programs generate almost all of those new recombinants at one central location. They don't sample many environments in the selection process. Only a very few recombinants are distributed for and challenged. Genomic selection technology is allowing us to change that paradigm, to early in the breeding process test new allele combinations against a range of a much broader sample of the target population of environments. To do this, we're going to move to what's referred to as sparse testing of early at 1, 2, or 3 locations. But it's complex, both technically and logistically. It needs a very high level of phenotype equality, genotype equality, control, data management, and data analysis. And neither the national system nor the CGIAR breeding programs are going to be able to implement this important technology for African farmers by themselves. We need a new partnership model, and this network is an important step in that direction. Key elements of that partnership model is that national partners and need to work very closely with CG scientists to define the product that the network is going to produce, decide where to allocate limited resources, choose parents, and also carefully identify the new outputs of each breeding cycle to determine whether they're ready to be disseminated, and that has to be a joint activity. One of the really important changes in the breeding model that we're going to see over the next few years is that the network partners will not just need to evaluate finished material, but need to participate in the evaluation of new selection candidates, what we're referring to as stage 1 selection, the first step of agronomic testing in multi-location trials. This doesn't mean that every selection candidate will be sent, every line will be sent to every station. That would overburden many research units. But the genomic relationship matrix allows us to break those populations up, distribute them among partners, and still get good information from them. Rapid cycle population improvement of this kind is not meant to replace the breeding programs of the NARS. It's not in competition with them. It's meant to provide them with a steady stream of improving germplasm that can be used either as parents or released directly as varieties. So it's a complement to the national breeding systems where national scientists are making crosses and developing germplasm, as most of you are, not a replacement for it. Another area where we're going to see change, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa, is that we need to do a better job on products should replace what's being grown in farmers' fields. I think we're moving towards that. If we want to have impact in Eastern Africa, in a large area, we need to identify varieties that have many of them that will be acceptable in the market, but that have higher agronomic performance under farmer management. it's that question of do our products perform better under farming management that we need to invest more time and effort in, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa, where many farmers in rain-fed rice systems in particular, either upland or rain-fed lowland, are using suboptimal levels of fertilizer and often have suboptimal water control, and so conditions that may be quite different than we normally evaluate our materials on the research station. So one thing we hope to see in the next phase of our major review that is really just a continuation in the one CGIAR framework of a long history of investment in rice improvement for the region. We expect we need to see an expansion of on-farm testing using new farm as incomplete block models. So we need to take our new materials, test them on enough farms under farmer management to be sure that they put that information together in a package for the extension system, for the Ministry of Agriculture, and really say, we have a product that warrants replacing what you currently grow. Let's invest in making that changeover to the new product. So these are the analysis of expanding on-farm testing and generating these recommendations. Obviously, dissemination and variety release are national responsibility, and get the data integrated into a package that policymakers, governments, private sector entities can use to make their decisions about investing in new variety. We're in the process of renewing our investment in rice breeding for sub-Saharan Africa in a partnership between IRRI, AfricaRice, and national program, and under the framework of one CGIAR, which is trying to provide better integration, joint planning, better use of resources across the system within the CGIAR system and its partnerships with national breeding organizations. We hope that this relationship will improve, will continue, and we're very pleased to have been able to support IRRI and its predecessor projects, TRB, Strasso, over a period of about 15 years. The achievements of these investments are due to you, due to the national CGIAR scientists who work very hard under difficult conditions. So we're very grateful for the opportunity to work with you, proud of what you've accomplished today, and very optimistic about the application of new breeding technologies to the problems faced by sub-Saharan African rice farmers in a rapidly changing climate. So with that, I'm sure things went very well yesterday with your meeting, and I'm looking forward to hearing the results of yesterday's and today's work and your progress going. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Gary. Thank you for your very encouraging remarks. So, this planning meeting over 2 days. So that was Saturday, the 26th August, and then the following day. And we really looked at all the research priorities, and it was like pretty intense session. But I think I'm really glad on behalf of Tali and ED team to share with you that we have very clear understanding about what needs to be prioritized in which area, and not just at a technical level, but also at the geographic level. So the group looked at 3 broader areas or 3 broader zones in Tanzania: the eastern zone, the lake zone, and then the southern highlands. And the group also came up with some kind of like relative prioritization in those zone-wise areas. So with that, I would like to request Hans if he has any reflection on the Gary's remarks. Hans?
Thank you, Ajay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. So let me first of all thank Gary on behalf of the group and the network. So Gary, thank you very much for your time and the kind of support which the Gates Foundation have been providing to the CG system for the last 15-20 years, I believe now, or maybe even longer. And given your background and your experience with the CG system, a lot of these technical interventions or new areas we are talking about, how we should be really doing breeding in the CG system, I think that's a tremendous help, and it serves as a big kind of a guidance for all the breeders and the younger researchers. So thank you very much for your continued interest and support. We really admire that. The other comment I'll briefly make is that as far as the focus is concerned on Africa, and we all know but that's the right thing to do today, and very timely intervention. And I just want to assure you that in putting this new proposal together, that how we can work together for the interest of the continent overall. So I think our in-house approach or the strategy what we are talking about, invest and breed in Africa for Africa, I think that's really guiding us our approach going forward, which allows us to, or where we are thinking in investing in Africa, expanding our footprint in Africa for Africa in partnership with AfricaRice and any other CG centers operating in the region. So that's exactly what I said yesterday to the group in the morning, that we are not just trying to support it remotely, but we are plunging ourselves into this, and we want to be part of and drive this change by being part of this system and be there kind of with a local presence and footprint. I think that will allow us to improve the productivity in Africa and the well-being of the farmers and the consumers. So thank you so much, Gary, and I think Sinkal might have some more to add here. If Sinkal, over to you. Thank you, Ajay.
Yeah, thank you, Hans.
So, thank you very much, Gary. Thank you, Dr. Hans, and thank you everyone who is in the room. I think as I was mentioning yesterday to the team, this is our second year where we are meeting face to face, and we are extremely appreciative of each and every one of you, because it is not just the time, but it's also the level of interaction and the understanding, enhanced understanding we get through this forum that really helps us understand the market needs in each of the breeding pipelines that we engage with. But besides that, we also have the opportunity to understand how our work and our engagement fits better in your national priority, and how does the rice or the rice systems really get prioritized in those systems, because we by now know that that has an enormous impact on the response we get from each and every one of you. Again, I think there is a framework, a breeding framework, which is very strongly supported by CGIAR funders, mainly as well BMGF FAS in the region, which we are very appreciative of, along with the guidance we have from experts and people like Gary who really engage proactively, and we have several of those events coming up where we really will continue to refine our engagement. But I think we are thankful to everyone for making this engagement effective. I hope that you will continue to find value in this engagement, and these are not the only engagements we have throughout the year. As it was mentioned that there is a strategic reset for Africa as well, along with AfricaRice. We are going to continue to enhance our presence here and be more effective in engaging with you. But with that, I would say all the relevant things have been said. So thank you again very much for the opportunity, and looking forward to the further deliberation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sankar. Abdul, would you like to reflect quickly?
Yeah, good morning to all of you, and good morning, Gary. I think it's good evening for you then, probably, if you are still in Seattle. So I will just say that this is really tremendous efforts.
In Nigeria.
Great success. What's that, sorry?
I'm in Lagos, I'm in Ibadan.
Oh, okay. Well, that's great. Yeah. Good to know that you are in Africa. So really thank you for your direction and your support, particularly now in Africa. It's really, the demand, as you know, is great, and the opportunities are really great for IRRI. So I really would like to thank you. Thanks, Hans, Sankar, RBI, Rose, and all our partners here in the room are really doing wonderful job. And I was very impressed yesterday to say that after the analysis of the data, actually it came out quite impressive. Very clean, very nice information being generated. The other thing I want to mention to Gary and Hans is that we have tremendous support in the region, particularly from the leadership. And we have seen that yesterday. The Minister of Agriculture stayed with us for the opening session, and the Director General of TARI stayed with us for the whole day. Actually, he's leaving this morning. So just to see how impressive and how embedded our program actually now with the national program, and how much we are being appreciated and being supported. So we are very well set. We have the science, we have the team, and I think we're very sure that we'll be able to deliver to the continent despite the challenges and other things that are happening here. So I just want to really commend both of you, you and Hans, and all the team for this tremendous support for us in the region, and I will assure you that the coming couple of years or so we really will have a huge impact in the region. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Abdul. Yeah, so Gary, as I mentioned before, we have lined up a couple of presentations today. We know very well your busy schedule. You're absolutely welcome to stay on as long as you want to. But at any point, if you want that you should drop out, just please feel free. But again, thank you so much for your time. I think this is a very encouraging message for the team. And as Sankar mentioned, as Hans mentioned, and as Abdul mentioned, we are here as a team again, for the benefits of the smallholder farmers in Africa. So thank you again. So with that we would like, yes, Hans, your hand is.
Ajay, I'm just wondering if Dr. Negushi is in the room, he might have some comments to make if he feels like.
Absolutely. Negushi would like to come in. Thank you, Hans.
Yeah, thank you very much. Sorry. Yeah, it's a great opportunity for all of us to work together, and basically our aim is to support NARS and to deliver the required varieties for the end users. So for these activities, we thank Gary and BMJ for the continuous support, and also to for guiding us in modernizing our breeding program and the direction of the breeding program. And I would like to thank also our NARS partners who has been our partners since more than 10 years. So AfricaRice, Africa-wide breeding task force, and this is a great opportunity. And thank you, IRRI, for bringing this together And this is a good opportunity for all of us, to come together and unite and be able to work together for the common good. So I wish you all the best. I wish I would have been there, but due to the earlier commitment, I could not join you. And I wish all the best for all the participants and also the team. Thank you very much. Back to you.
Thank you, Nigose. And we clearly missed you here to be present in person, Nigose. But thanks for joining online. Well, so before we...
All the best. Yeah.
Thank you, Nigose. So before we move on with our agenda for the day, rest of the agenda for the day, so I just would like to check quickly if Gary, you have any comment or you have any reflection on Gary?
No, please just go ahead.
Well,
I'll have to drop off in a few minutes, but I'll listen as long as I can. Thanks.
Sure, thank you so much. All right. So, as we all know, yesterday we had a very intense second half, and it was mainly around, a lot of data crunching across both the maturity groups, early pipeline or early maturity, as well as medium maturity segment. So, what we thought of doing is that after that intense data crunching, we thought of summarizing or synthesizing that exercise into very, short summary report. And we have requested our national partners to do that. As a kind of representation of the joint advancement. So may we now invite Dennis Tipe, who is the Center Director for TARI Uyole, to tell us about what has been what this group really has come up with in early maturity segment. So Dennis, can we have you here together with I think Dr. Ruth, who will support him, and also Sheila, who will also help the group. Yeah, but then primarily Dennis, over to you.
Just an announcement, people, if you're here in the room and you're logged into Zoom, please sign out. The internet is getting so low and we are all here. So if you're here, just sign out from Zoom.
Thank you. Yeah, so we have Dennis, Center Director from TARI Uyole, and at the same time we have Dr. Ruth, Center Director from Kalgo Oya. Thank you, Dennis.
The LA Maturity Pipeline Group. Yesterday we had a discussion in the evening, and I would like to present what came from the discussion. Well, in total we have this 4 groups of pipelines, and for us we just concentrate on direct seeded elevation, long grain slant, soft grain for rain-fed ecosystem, and these are the main countries in this group. So from Mozambique, Kenya, Tanzania, Thailand, Cambodia, and Philippines. These are the main countries under that segment. And then these are the composition of the material in stage 2. Out of this pipeline from stage 1 to stage 2. In stage 1, actually these are the, that's the bit of technology sometimes. And stage 1, then advance to generation advancement. This go up to stage 2. With stage 2, these are comprised of the selected materials from stage 1, and then this go to the baselines that can be nominated for testing. The global checks as well, then included 2 to 3 block entries. For stage 2, there were 25 entries, and then this were the other came from the partners. Then again with 5 very performance lines, and again we maintain 5 global checks and other 5 the global checks as well as with the local checks. Again, from the trials, we have the good heritability from this side, as you see, to getting up to 90% almost. So after satisfying with this heritability from the trials. Then we decided to do some correlation for the site-wise, and then came 2 groups from this correlation. But of 7, what we found is that reliability is even high, almost 95, and then looking to 100%. Again, for the second group of 3, 90%. So that's good. And this is our selection from stage 1 group, from group 1 of the 7, with 25 entries, 8 global checks. Then we had 2 local checks. But this based on a selection index where we based on grain yield and zinc content of this material, except for the local checks, because these are still need to genotyped. Again, for the second group, again with the 25 entries, with 6 global checks and 3 entries again. Some data needed for zinc. Again, this is the similar from the where to ship the seeds, where to plant, when to prepare data, and when to submit. So for all 10 sites, these are good things that we have all good calendar from stage 1 planting, stage 2, and then when we expect to receive seeds from the IRRI HQ, and then when they will be expecting to get the data from the partners. And these are the things we discussed in general. First, it's all about the trial timings, when to collect data, but we discussed also all about the nomination, genotyping of the local, but the more emphasis was also on the management of the trials, because it's a bit complicated and brain fed that if these fields are not labeled, what are well managed, then it's a bit challenging to get the quality data. So the emphasis were on crop management as well, and then also in general the fertilizers, let's say something like zinc content of the material, how do we manage the fertilization and when, how, but the emphasis was on that let's do this in the normal condition, no extra inputs, so that at least we comply with the farmers' practice in their environment. Otherwise, thank you so much.
For the group here, that yesterday when we started our conversation, we first went into the logistical aspects, worked on that table, shipments and so on. So in Africa, seasons vary a little bit. It's not, as well defined as in, in India and other places where we have only one Kharif season that we are targeting and so on. So we worked on that a little bit and then went into the overall data related conversations, where we looked into the trial quality. Generally speaking, despite being direct seeded, despite being a little challenging rain-fed conditions and so on, we still have heritabilities, plot heritabilities, which are reasonable and within acceptable range, and we actually congratulate the national partners for that. And beyond that, we then looked into the groupings of the trials. Going forward, we'll need to see how this correlations repeat in the next year. This is only one season, 1 year that we are looking at right now. But going forward between these sites and more, we'll need to see how we address those 2 groupings, whether if the second groups become large or and so on and so forth. And then of course, at the end of the day, we have to then decide how to select for the lines across that. Gary, you have a point, please go ahead.
Quick question. Often when you see a sharp negative correlation between 2 groups like that for yield, it's a result of longer duration materials being favored at one set of sites and shorter duration materials being favored at another, because maybe drought cut them off during grain filling. Could it be something like that happened? Can you find out?
Again, generally, whatever material that we have brought, we have tried to fix the maturity as much as possible within the early maturity range. but then they do behave sometimes, differently in the environments in Africa and so on. Yesterday we were looking into the DTF of site to site. There are differences between the same sets and so on. So we still need to sort of get our head around that and make sure that we have lines that that behave in the right direction as we go along. What I would want to do, and we have been talking with Eduardo about this, is that let's wait for one more set of data. If things don't change, then we have to take a call how we want to partition the material as well as the the selections and so on. I hope that's
yeah, that's great. One more quick question.
Yeah.
In most of Eastern Africa, there's a big demand for aromatic material of the supa type.
Yeah.
Was there any discussion on whether to incorporate that quality type into the pipeline?
So that's definitely the key target, Gary, in this pipeline. So this is a long, soft grain type pipeline. And in this case, yeah, and then the super grain type is long bold. So we have been talking about that particular grain type a lot.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So thanks Gary for that point. Maybe I think probably Dennis can add more, but Dennis, in our planning over Saturday, Sunday, so this super improvement also came up as one of the strongest priority, right? Isn't that? Would you like to add on that?
Yes, well, we have already have that plan in our strategy, and for the from Saturday and Sunday we had this plan, and it's already almost a complete draft now, and that will be signed soon as a blueprint for this program as well. So super improvement programs in. And instead of replacing super, but we are working on that to make an improvement of the super type.
At the same time, Gary, just to add to that, even yesterday we had a very long discussion about the replacement targets in Tanzania and Kenya and other places, and super definitely is going to be one of the top ones there. Thank you.
Thank you.
From the audience, if there is anything, any additions from the team that we may have missed? Any questions that I can answer? So the next step here will be that we will be sending the data sheet, the list of lines with all the data, genotype, phenotype and everything, and we will then wait for the next 2 weeks for you to select, make your selections, and then we jointly advance things into the system. Thank you. I think no more questions, I'm assuming.
Well, there are also some of the key points also we discussed during the evening yesterday. What came out also is that all the trials need to be conducted at the same location year after year, and this will help us sometimes if the soil fertility or the weather condition of the specific, rather than having a trial at one location this season and then after 2 seasons you move like 100 kilometers. So that's not what we agreed. So then the idea is to conduct this trial at the same location year after year for consistency. And then also there's a need to identify a local check for the zinc contents as well. Then the plan also is to characterize testing sites, and then in terms of weather, soil condition, soil parameters and all those. And in Tanzania, and as I explained a few minutes ago, that the replacement target for rain-fed super while the benchmark variety is Komboka, and all trials to be conducted under purely rain-fed condition. That's the key here. And also irrigation can be supplied, but that's not the priority. This material should be screened completely under rain-fed condition in case at least if there is a need to do, but not necessarily to do supplement of irrigation. And then the issue of fertilizers management to be standardized. That's what we discussed as well. And also on a head recovery determination needs to be also standardized at when the samples be transported to the dispense, because always this has been affected by the post-harvest handling process as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dennis. Thank you. Looks like there's one comment from Gary. Shalom.
Yeah, the first one is, I think we were talking about, there are some environmental differences that I was thinking of. I just don't want to make a comment. That is the next one, which is about the zinc. Is that what we're talking about? Okay, yeah, so for zinc, I actually also agree. The market leader could be the zinc benchmark as well. But Gary, do you have a suggestion there, please?
No, that was it. But the idea of including zinc is to increase zinc availability in the general food supply. So you would just want to compare new products with what is currently going to the mill.
Yeah, thank you so much, Gary. Just a very quick point for the team, just wanted to share that we agreed that we will be moving into fully sparse testing design next year onwards. We have not been entirely into that until this year, but that's what we have now decided, that it will be fully sparse testing. And as much as possible, we will also try within each of the partner locations, if we can split the material and put it into more number of locations than putting all the materials into one. But that is a next step for us. But moving into sparse testing will be the immediate next step that we have decided upon. That's probably the last point that I want to add. Unless there is anything else, we can move to the next group then. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Dennis, Dr. Ruth, and Shala. So can we have a big round of clapping for this group? Thank you again. Thank you so much. It's not that easy to really crunch or maybe summarize the intense session that we had yesterday into half an hour. But thank you so much for doing that, Dennis. So can we now move on to the next group, which is medium maturity, and I invite Dr. Emily to be supported by Dr. Bilaro and of course Suresh and Parthiva. Can we have Emily?
Okay, good morning. I'm Emily from Karongoya in Kenya, and I'm going to present the discussions that we had for the medium maturity pipeline. And to begin with, this pipeline was implemented in 3 countries, that is Kenya, Tanzania, and Burundi. And for the stage 1 trials, we had 9 sites, and for the stage 2 trials, we had 5 sites. And some of the, maybe we could call them just a few challenges. In Kenya, we had an issue with the phytosanitary inspection, and so we ended up with an incomplete set. Then in Mozambique, where the direct seeded medium maturity pipeline is being implemented, the CIAT trial was lost due to flooding. So during the discussion, we were explained, or we were taught how the data we collect from our trials is used for genomic selection. And so, for example, for the stage 1 trial, the 9 sites, so out of a set of 2,100 lines, only 200 lines are sent to us for testing in the field, because 2,100 line is too much to test. And so the predictions from the 200 sets are the ones that are used and applied on the whole set of 2,100 to come up with a selection to be used to come up with selection of lines to be advanced to the next stage. So for this, we have the single trial analysis and the multi-environmental analysis done, and as well as the genomic breeding values calculated and for prediction. So for the results, from the single trial analysis, we were shown that the heritability is calculated, and for last year data set, good heritability was actually obtained apart from one trial in Burundi, and generally this was good quality data. Then the data was then evaluated or subjected to multi-environment testing, and for this a correlation was done for the sites, and using the genomic breeding values, the distribution of the whole data sets, that is the 2,100 lines, is as shown here, which had a very high coefficient of reliability of 0.5. And as you can see, the different markings, not the blue ones, the other colors indicate our local checks. So the local checks in the medium maturity have all been genotyped. So using this, the predictions, the index was calculated based on the yield, head rice recovery, but the flowering time and the height were fixed, and so that's how the index was calculated. And using that index, these were the stage 2 materials that were selected from the medium maturity group. For the stage 2, the process is similar. Also, good quality data was obtained using the single trial analysis with a high heritability of between 0.3 to 0.8. And a correlation was also done for the sites. And again, the distribution of the lines in the entries in the stage 2 was shown here. So using this, 6 lines were selected as potential lines to be advanced for to selections to product nominations, and this was based on the in relation to the checks, the performance of the checks in the region. Yeah. So in summary, during the group discussions, we were able to review the EST006 trial data and reports for the medium duration in the transplanted, medium duration long slender grain 1, and direct seeded medium duration long slender grain 1. Then we checked, it was observed that there have been improvement in data quality from the ESA region in comparison to the previous years. And we were also able to learn about the selection index methodology and tool, and genotyping of local checks from ESA was very helpful in achievement of this. Then the potential candidates from stages 1 and 2 were identified, and the files for the single trial analysis and the multi-environment analysis will be given to us so that we can finalize the selections in a 2 weeks period. So we also had a chance to plan for the upcoming 2023 trials. And finally, I'll pinpoint some of the challenges that the group mentioned. And one of them is unforeseen biotic and abiotic stresses, such as flooding, which was experienced in Mozambique. And so the suggestion was to avoid areas that have previously experienced adverse or biotic stresses. And if it happens, because some of these occurrences cannot be predicted in advance, if it happens, make sure you make notes in the EBS system, which will advise on the data analysis. Then increase the number of testing sites for stage 2s. And to do this, the group requested if the seed amount could be increased, or otherwise use sparse testing strategy. Then finally, there are plans to bring in the TPE trait genes for RYMV blast tolerance as requested by members of the group, because this will be very helpful if we can actually utilize it in some of our breeding programs instead of relying on the old land races, which is more like not advancing but going backwards in our breeding programs. So otherwise, that's it from the group, and thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Please, if Suresh, you would like to add something on? Yeah, sure. But before that, would you like to add anything? If not, then we can go to the questions. Yeah, and would you like to?
Everything is on balance is not a good indicator, so that's why we use reliability, and it's just the genetic variance covariance minus the predicted error variance over the genetic variance covariance as defined in the animal breeding theory or just general breeding theory. So yes, this would be seen as the MET reliability, or highly related to the heritability. But by definition, the reliability is a bit higher than the heritability, because it only considers the error associated to the breeding values and not the, let's say, spatial noise or any other sources of variation, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, thank you.
What we are seeing here in medium maturity group as well is very good trials being conducted in the region, which is a very, very good sign here. We were not here last year, and this year this is a big improvement we are seeing. I'd like everyone to clap to ourselves, please. Yeah, this is coming from the coordinated effort that we are doing. We are doing trainings, we are bringing small equipment, we are bringing some small mechanization. All these things are coming. So what is important is we have to maintain this data quality going forward as well. So that is a big thing.
And thank you, Mamrut, I think also for picking up on these points. I just want to, again, I don't know, we were not together when we congratulated each of this group, but since we are all together, I do see, I think for the first time we are seeing all the trainings that we conduct, the breeding team, the organization team, the regional teams that engage. I think this is making an impact. I just want to again take a moment and say that, we were here, we were struggling, 3 years back. And now we are at the stage where we are within even country, 3 different countries, we are getting site correlations, genetic correlations, which are extremely relatable. It can really connect the performance of the material, makes sense while you do selection. And I think that's a big, big progress. And I don't know anywhere in the world, any public breeding program is doing that. Neither CG nor NARS, but I think the CGIAR NARS program together is making wonders. Why not give a really big round of applause for all of us, really, so that I can really tell that this is going in the right direction. My only request is, within our TPEs, if there is a way for us to sample the TPE more, that will be important. I know the correlations look good, we can be happy with what we have, but if that is not, according to you, really sampling the G by E across the market segmentation, because the market segmentation currently is based largely on the production traits, on the information, the resident knowledge that's there, based on the market leaders, or based on the requirements from all the stakeholders who grow them. Now we are moving to a place where we can delineate the market segments based on the data. But while doing so, at least for a couple of years, if we can run a little more locations, I don't know, we are talking somewhere between 7 to 8 locations per breeding pipeline. But if we can increase that a little bit, how much Eduardo can tell us at any point in time, but if we can go a little bit further to sample the TPs a bit more and really tighten those pipelines, that's going to help us a lot. Because I think now, since you have done such a great job, I'm really, again, excited and asking a little bit more, but I think that's what will show the quality of our network. And I think we'll have, and we don't need to generate products into, so I don't know if Casey is here. Casey, we can really trust our pipelines, you know. The traits, you mentioned RYMB and BLAST, but I think those are coming in the crossing block. Damian, am I being right? The RYMB and the BLAST pyramids are coming. So I think they will be available to you very soon. In fact, I think they should be there in the circulation by now. So one request and one submission. We are doing such a great job, and we are making sure that we are both relevant to each other. Let us just further strengthen that. That will help us reduce the speed and time to develop the market demanded varieties. Currently, I don't know if you had a discussion with the teams that the breeding cycle time at IRRI can be reduced to less than 3 years pretty easily, and around 2 years. So that means a new product can be expected with slightly higher performance in 2 years' time. And I was discussing one example with Super type yesterday, and some of the candidates had, at least based on GBV, significant advantage. I think I don't know if it was 1.2 tons or 1 ton or 1.5 tons. But I think those are the things we can really take into account to target the market in the rainfed area. So sorry to bring these couple of points together, but I think we have come to a good place if we can really go from here a little bit faster. So I will look up to Dennis, I'll look up to Casey, Dr. Bilaro, and also Mamrud, also to push within the system, as well as in Burundi, I think Alexis and colleagues, also Isabu colleagues, and also in Mozambique, I think we have a lot of scope. But I think this is a great start. I just want to personally thank you so much. We are making, hopefully now, as we go closer to the system, really joint advancements and joint selections. I think that's a lot of fun. So again, thank you so much, Asante Sana, and I think let's continue this. Suresh, thank you again for yours. And Shalom, your thanks to you and your team's efforts for really making good progress. Ajay, also thank you.
We are actually expanded already in Tanzania, right, Rose? The Ukuriguru site this year was a new, and also KATC site also we are included, and we are also expanding to Cheburu. So, and then the good thing is now, if you see in Tanzania map, the early segmentation is, before there was an overlap, now there is no overlap. The early is mostly the southern islands, southern hills, it is there, and then central to north is where the medium group is operating. So we are really expanding, and I'd like to actually say thanks to our seed systems guy, because when we have seen those trials in the field, those are the most potential sites for us also. So we actually piggybacked on them, and thanks to all the team that you are working, you know. So thank you for you are finding the sites for us in a way. So that's good. And in Mozambique also, we are trying to expand to one more location in Namakura, right, Natalie? Yeah, we discussed that, and we also want to expand in Mozambique as well. So with that, I'll thanks Emily, you know, for being a wonderful orator here and clearly, precisely giving the message to the audience. And thank you, appreciate that, and Bilara for supporting. You know, all those technical questions you asked and some of the comments you made are wonderful. You know, very thoughtful, and appreciate that. Huh? Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming and participating in the good work. Thank you.
Suresh, thank you so much again. Emily, Dr. Bilaro, thank you so much. So we also have some of our ABI colleagues online, especially Lenin. So Lenin, thanks for joining, and apologies that we were not able to share the program in advance. But really great to have you online. And would you like to reflect very quickly, Lenin? Can you hear us? Sorry, can we hear from you? Lenin, can you hear me? And would you like to come in? If you're speaking, you're on mute.
Just to stage 1 or also stage 2 trials?
Processing is mainly for stage 1 Amelia. Yeah, I think the slide, okay, the second point was maybe slightly confusing. I know.
This is quite important. On one hand, we are doing all this effort to develop, this new set of germplasm that will be more adapted to these conditions. but at the same time, we also need that kind of testing mechanism which can advance the right lines in the system. So that is an additional layer that I want to put in, and I think the point that Hans brings in is the important one, where he's saying that we should recognize what is there and what could be done, and so on and so forth. So I think that's something that we should really bring in. Thanks.
Casey has a comment.
Thank you. Maybe something different can be for the case of Tanzania. After stage 2, because of the requirements by the release committee and the NPT technical team, the lines needs to go for at least 2 evaluations, 2 seasons, and then at 3 locations. Yeah, at least 3 locations, but more than 3 locations for the sake of the ability of the data. And also we need to compare the system with the variety we want to replace. Okay? That is considered as a maybe can be considered in the other stages. At the same time, we need supervisor combination. How farmers respond to the variety, sensory evaluation, and also something like business. So those are the things that can differ from. Cannot take them direct to NPT.
No, definitely. I think we have to follow the system.
Yeah, we have to follow the system. So maybe if we select at least 6, maybe 6 lines from stage 2, now we start doing AYT trial or multiplicational trial for that case.
Sure. Thank you, Casey.
Yeah, so, and the other thing I forgot to say about I wanted to say something about what we did yesterday. We talked about the zinc. Zinc data we are not able to be analyzed because I don't know. And then on the way we talked how we can capture good information from zinc, because nowadays some of our fertilizers have zinc inside. So we thought of maybe in our trials to consider the issue of fertilizers, not to use fertilizers with zinc, so that, or otherwise we prevent fertilizers with food that is standardized. The other thing was on high recovery, head recovery. For the head recovery, the data was not there, or they say the data quality was not good. So we thought of maybe the head recovery data to be taken at the station of trialing. And if that is the case, we need some facilities like the milling machines, maybe a software for the computer for scanning, so that maybe at the end of the day we may have reliable data for the recovery. That's 2 points we discussed yesterday.
Excellent.
Okay, thank you so much, Casey.
Shall I also mention? Hello, yeah. So Hans, sure. So the system that you're talking about, especially what happens after stage 2. So obviously there are differences country to country. Like Casey mentioned that we need some additional documentation or additional data generation before we go to NPT, right, in Tanzania. So we have documented all of those states at the country level, and we have those steps very well documented for all the countries in ESA. Obviously, there are some very striking differences, I would say. When we compare the system in Asia. For example, in Asia, to go for release system, we don't need DUS data. DUS data is very tightly linked to the IP protection, but not for the release. Here, unless and until you generate the DUS data, you cannot really your release application cannot really advance. I mean, these are the systems, or these are some of those states which probably need to really, we need to really look at it from policy perspective, because dust testing from that perspective probably wouldn't play that much role for release, which is so tightly linked, or which is so relevant for the IP production, but not so much for the release system. Yeah. So there are some striking differences compared to the Asian system, but I think whatever existing systems that we have those very well documented. Yes, thank you. I think Sanjay has some comment. Right?
Thank you. So, but overall, I think I was wondering, when I was left wondering whether we see this joint system as a system that can continue to move forward, because I think this is the fastest system. If we can complement well, I just wanted to feel that we can jointly advance products, either jointly develop, because part of the products specifically for the traits that we are looking for, YMB and BLAST, or maybe some other products, some other traits which are required in the products. I do personally believe this is the best way to move forward in this system, and it's a rainfed system. These mics are cooperating, but anyways, for rainfed system in Africa in general, we need enhanced understanding of what the replacement targets are, what the practices are, what the seed system interventions will be, and naturally what the products will be. Those will come out of stage 2 to then national trials, whether those are 2 years or 4 years. It's really important for us to, while we are together, really identify opportunities to move forward together. But I do believe that in your Tanzania work plan you have touched upon that, which I think you have done. So no need to repeat that, but I think similar approaches being formulated for the rest of the countries, including Mozambique. So I hope the next exercises will be there in Mozambique, in Burundi, as well as in Kenya. So I think I do believe that if we can firm up these steps and the division of labor, again a little more refined one, we are also in a position to show this to the funders and donors and say this is how the division of labor works together. But again, I don't want to repeat myself. I think we have done that. So thank you again, everyone. That's it. Over.
Thank you again. Thank you, Shankar. Yeah. So when we were thinking about the today's program, I was thinking that we need a very strict moderator, time moderator, and I requested Pauline to be that strict time moderator. But looks like we are doing good on time, right? Excellent. But Pauline, thank you again, and just keep moderating the time. I know you didn't have to interrupt in between up until now, but then you will need your that 2 minutes. Yeah, sure, we'll need that in the day. So then let's move on with the agenda, and I think next in line is about the. So I think it's on me, right? You would like to add something? No. Well, thank you. So next on our agenda is about One Rice building strategy, and how One Rice building strategy is actually fine-tuned to cater the local needs. In this case, the needs for Africa. So this is the joint presentation, as you can see, from Shankar as well as from my side. Well, I think this chart may not be new for many of you, because this is so. I mean, this chart has been shown many times. I know that, yeah. But then this is such an important chart that we cannot really start our presentation without highlighting the need for focused intervention in Africa in rice sector. And this is self-explanatory that the top line, which is for consumption, and then the bottom line, which is for domestic production. And if you look at the gap between those two lines, it's huge. It's huge. Many of you know that we are spending a lot to import rice just to meet the local demand. And then that import, the bars that you see at the bottom, so that is that volume that comes from outside. And in terms of dollar value, it's huge. It's about 6.5 billion USD across sub-Saharan Africa. So that's the kind of import that we do to meet our local demand. Now, and this situation is not a very healthy and very sustainable situation for a long time, which also means that this group, present in the room, so we need to really put our brains together, put our acts together, put our strategies together, and really need to address the challenges which are facing the rice value chain in this subcontinent for a very long time. And if you look at this data, so this data is not just for 5 years or 10 years. So this data is actually from 1991 up until 2020. And if you go before 1990, this stage was same, or the situation was same. But at the same time, there are key drivers. I'm sure you're watching this space very, very closely. And the dynamics that is happening in rice sector in Africa over last maybe 5 years, and if you compare that with, let's say, dynamics about a decade ago or maybe 2 decades ago, there's a tremendous difference, tremendous change. There has been significant improvement, of course, but then the space is changing very, very dynamically. There has been increased interest from a lot of donors, increased interest from a lot of investors, even the private investors and so on, which also means that as a cumulative effect of all that, it is actually creating positive impact towards development of the rice sector in Africa. Now, if you look at some of the key drivers, one of the most important key driver for this change is actually the aspiration for self-sufficiency. We all know that international rice trade is very volatile, very, very political as well, right? Now, given that, I think every country, each and every country in Africa, they are really, really aspiring for this self-sufficiency. I mean, we heard Dr. Ruth saying yesterday about Kenya. We heard Tanzania saying although it is self-sufficient, but their aspiration to really aspiration is to reach to the next stage. But if you look at Mozambique, if you look at Madagascar being the largest producer, they import a lot. Mozambique being the third largest producer after Madagascar and Tanzania, they also import about I think 70%, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, 70% about, or maybe no, 30%. Sorry, 30%. Yeah, but I think the self-sufficiency is the key driver, and then followed by that, every country is looking for import substitution. How can we increase our domestic production so that we don't have to really spend on the import. Then the third point, which is about restrictive and uncertain international trade policies or international trade. Recently we heard that India posed a ban on exporting non-basmati rice. If every country continues the same way, then I think we can imagine the situation for us. And as we all know, most of our rice comes from Asian market here, except nearby countries where rice also goes from Tanzania. But if the situation comes to a price competition, then I'm sorry to say, but we will not stand there, right? If the international situation comes to a price competition, then we will not be able to stand there. So which also means that I think we have to strengthen our local production, we have to strengthen our local sector. And of course, market opportunity is huge. I don't really explain that again, but I think we all agree that there are huge market opportunities. And from the research focus point of view, what is it that we can bring to the table so that we can help address those challenges, right? Of course, the newer and high yielding varieties, there's no doubt about it. We have been discussing about this since yesterday. Adoption of the quality seed. I'm sure Daniel has his presentation, and we are also launching the seed cast, which will eventually help the stakeholders and more so the smallholder farmers to go towards quality seed adoption. Good agricultural practices. Tanzania is a typical example. Despite self-sufficiency, if we go one level down, if you look at the productivity, it's still very low. It's still very low. And within Tanzania, if you go to southern highland, even the productivity is, I think, below the national average probably. So those are the interventions that we can very well bring to the table so that we can, cumulatively contribute to the increased productivity. The next in line, as you can see, is fit for the purpose mechanization and So DSR is like that new frontier, I would say, that we are trying to promote in Africa. Again, whatever we are talking over here, so it's all together with the national partners. It's all national partners and then ERRI. Yeah. And then policy support, as I mentioned, even like for example, some of the varietal release policies. So it needs to be really relooked at. So there are policies there are for ages now. So these are the changes that I think we need to really look at very, very critically. I think Abdel briefly mentioned about this yesterday, but then we have been in the region. ERRI has been really contributing to the region since 1965. And again, the country where we are sitting right now, so that this is the country, Tanzania, which received the very, very early generation material from ERRI back in 1965. But after that, then we have been doing a systematic engagement, but then more intense, I would say, more intense engagement with African continent started in 2006, and stalwarts like Joseph are sitting over here, so they have been witnessing the positive change that ERRI is really bringing to the continent. And currently, as we speak, we have our regional office in Nairobi, and this was established in 2018. Well, so this is our global philosophy. So, whenever we are saying, before also, whatever those varietal adoption, quality seal and everything that I mentioned, it's not ERRI alone. It's basically national partners and then ERRI network. So that has been our global philosophy. So as you can see over here, in our global philosophy, and which is like very much aligned to our global one rice breeding strategy, we look at end-to-end process, starting from market segmentation, all the way down to the partners network. Market segmentation, we started with the very very high level global market segmentation. Obviously the principle will be the same, but now as the next step, we would like to go to the country level market segmentation. We already started doing that in Asia, but then it's a same step or maybe similar step that we would like to take for Africa as well. Because some of those very niche preferences or maybe niche market, we don't want that niche market to go unnoticed just because we are not looking at that granular landscape. So we really don't want to miss that, so we will go one step down. Then as it stands today, we have like one-to-one correlation between market segments and product concept. So which also means that we have product concept for each and every market segment that we have developed. Likewise, and product concept is not something that was developed by ERRI alone. It was again the consultative approach, very much driven by the national partners, and we also have, and again it's not only from the breeding per se, but then we had very cross-cutting participants in that exercise. Then as a next step, of course, for a given market segment, as per the product concept, then we have pipeline. We already heard Suresh talking about 2 pipelines in medium maturity. You heard Shalak talking about 2 pipelines in early maturity. And then of course down the line, and then the crux of everything is national partners network, last network. Because if this network is not there, whatever we talk at the front level or at the upstream level, that will not really carry any value. Because whatever is being generated over here, good. So whatever is being generated at this level, whether it is strategic market segmentation or looking at the product concepts or even bidding pipeline, if those bidding pipelines are not really getting tested at the target market level, probably will not get the ground reality, will not be able to capture the ground reality. So the material which is being developed needs to be tested in a target environment. So that's how important the national partners network is for us. And as you can see, it's like complementary and cross-functional product development teams. Well, so this is, I think, probably Sankalp touched base yesterday about this global one rice breeding strategy. And I'm sure during the exercise that we did yesterday in both the groups, in the split session, I'm sure a lot of this already has been discussed. Why this global rice breeding strategy in place. Now the point that I would like to focus over here is that it is end-to-end process, which means the national partners engagement doesn't just come at the end level. It actually starts right here. Market feedback. From our day-to-day interaction, from our systematic engagement, from the product concept development, what we really are trying to do is that we are trying to capture the market signals. And then all of those market signals actually go into the one rice building strategy, into this pipeline. At the same time, all the supporting critical elements will be there, or will be really supporting the main building pipeline. So that the target environment, and which is so critical, right? And then obviously stage 1 will go to stage 2, and then what happens after stage 2? We already heard from KC and others. But this is one change that I think we have been noticing is that this is the strategy which is so much linked to the market requirements, unlike in the past. Unlike in the past, where NARS IRRI global breeding network across the three main regions three main regions. Obviously on the extreme right. Sorry. Here on the extreme right, you have we have Southeast Asia. On the left hand side, we have South Asia. So we have around I think 7 countries in Southeast Asia. We have 3 countries in South Asia, and we have 7 countries where we have active network. But then altogether we have 15 countries in Africa. Now the only reason I said active network in 7 countries versus 15 countries is that these 7 countries, we have systematic breeding pipeline being tested currently. But for rest of the countries, which goes, the number beyond the 7 all the way to 15 countries. In those countries, based on the market requirement or based on the need coming from those countries, we are sharing the material, and we are requesting them to test into their own, MET system and put it into NPT so that they can release the material or release the varieties for their own countries. Yeah. But it's not like part of the systematic breeding network, so that the data will come back and data will be part of the pooled analysis. No. So that data will be solitary data, and then the data which will come from the 7 countries, it's part of the pooled analysis. Well, I think probably this is my last slide, but this is very this is a slide that I really would like this group to live with. How our global strategies are really creating impact at the local level. Now on extreme left, as you can see over here, so this is our global strategy for seed systems and product management. We strongly believe that awareness creation, I think we heard quite a bit of it yesterday, but I think we also will hear from Daniel today. Awareness creation about new varieties, awareness creation about any new technology for that matter, even DSR for example, it's a complete technology package. So that is so critical, awareness creation. Capacity building. We spoke enough about it, about capacity building, yesterday, and then we have slotted complete 2.5 days. Even within this, advanced meeting session, we have scheduled 2.5 days for capacity building. Day 4 and day 5, Sanjay is the one who will be leading those, capacity building efforts for day 4 and day 5. And tomorrow, which is day 3, we have quite a bit of it. Will be delivered by Eduardo, also by Suresh and Fatima. And catalyzing the partnerships. So this also very critical, and some of the national partners sitting over here, they have seen this role coming from IRRI as a catalytic role. And again, these are not standalone; these are all interlinked. Like for example, we need the right kind of partnership. We want to create awareness. We need if the right kind of partners are not there, then where the capacity building will happen. So this is our strategy, and the example that you see on the right hand side. I need to go back to the table. Probably Daniel, we should do that, because I looked at the numbers yesterday from Dr. Ruth, and the number over here is actually 125,000. Right, Dr. Ruth? the number for Kamboka is 125,000 kgs, right? So which means, but in the picture that I really would like you to think about is that this is the variety, Kamboka, which was released in Kenya in 2013, as you can see over here, released in 2013. But if you look at the volumes over here, this is the volume for certified seed. So volume for the certified seed in 2019 or 2020 were only very, it was like, very mere miserable volume. It's about, 1,000 kgs. But with the very systematic intervention that we conducted together with Carlo, and thanks to Dr. Ruth, Emily, even Daniel, for your leadership on that, really. I mean, this created a huge difference. And the table above, as you can see over here, these are the kind of intervention we carried out, again, under the leadership of Carlo, just between 2020 and 2022. And as a result of this, the demand for this variety is actually very high. Now the challenge for us is that how do we cater the seed demand which is coming from the market side. Yes, Dr. Pauline, I'm done. This is my last slide. Yeah, and then to really manage the demand from the supply side, we started then catalyzing the partnership for seed supply. So recently we facilitated the partnership between Calro and Advanta. And Advanta is the global seed company, and we surely need the partnership at that level, and partnership with the companies, with the private sector companies who have that experience to really scale up the volume exponentially. And of course Advanta can do that. But Advanta is just an example. But what I'm trying to really trigger over here is that we need everyone to be together in this journey, whether it is private sector, national partners, or whosoever who can contribute to the seed system or contribute to the overall system. Yeah, so you can see the impact. We started here in 2020, and with those kind of intervention, again driven by Calro, we are here. And again, this volume is now 125,000 kgs, which is significant. So with that, I think I will stop it here. And thank you so much, Asante Sana. And we really appreciate all the continued support that we are getting from national partners, from all the programs, from all the donors, including BMGF, USAID, GIZ, everybody. So thank you so much. Yeah. Yes, second. Would you like to add?
Thank you very much, Ajay. Thank you. And just coming to the last bit, if you see that coming from 1 ton to 125 tons, 125 times increase, and you can see how fast you can replace a variety. I think in 2 to 3 years, you can really get to a place with the initiative from the national government to a better place. And I think again, let's not forget our rain-fed areas in Africa. So with that, I would still like to take a moment and thank you again for formally being part of this network. I also would like to let you know that if you look at the global rice agriculture, the focus is moving to Africa. Rice is becoming important for Africa. The focus of the world is coming to Africa. The challenge is then, are we as a team really able to cater to the demand that is coming, or we let someone else decide our rice agriculture fate? That remains a question, key question for us to answer. So I know we have our ways, our established paths, and our established routines that we engage in, but I think this is a high time, and you have seen that the impressive collaborative network can really deliver results, including some of the things that we have seen for Kamboka. And I think that story is, as Dr. Ismail said yesterday, to be replicated in these countries. We are fully committed to be part of this network, and I know you are as well. But in the next remaining days, I think let us continue to brainstorm and continue engagement of the work plans as we have agreed, and really make this Kamboka story. Kamboka, if I'm not wrong, in Swahili means liberation. And I don't know for how many decades the continent is in need of liberation. I don't know how and who will take this seriously. I don't know if we can, the South-South collaboration cannot change the destiny through farming systems, which still continue to provide the largest contribution to the gross domestic product of each of the country. Then who will? I don't know when it's intriguing enough for us to take a step. I do see the people who are gathered here can make the first step, but we have a long way to go. And really this continent is blessed with the resources, including human resource, natural resources, and it's perfect for rice agriculture. I heard that Dr. Ismail saying in many, many forums. We have millions of hectares of potential rice area. Before I finish, I would like to let you know, rice is a cash crop in Africa. I don't know who's not listening to me now, but rice is cash crop in Africa. The farm gate price that you get in Africa is 3 to 4 times higher. Nowhere in the world you get that price. 90% of the rice is produced at the farm gate price, which is 2.5 to 3 times lower than you. I don't know if you want to seize this opportunity or not. You know the challenges with the contract farming, what's going to happen? Somebody else will rent the farm and take the money and rice out of Africa. So it's in your hands, it's in our hands. I know it sounds a little emotional, philosophical, but if it doesn't give you goosebumps, then there's no point in doing anything. It does to me. I just hope it's the same story for you guys. So thank you again, Asante Nasana, to everyone for the attention. Let us make this change in 5 years, because 5 years is a good story. Thank you again to everyone for listening, and let us move on. Thank you.
Next step from Sankara, who say we are the ones who have to make it happen. I think a lot of people are looking at ourselves, including the national programs, including farmers. So I think I join Sankara saying we have a challenge, and with our networking, with our collaboration, I think it's possible. He said 5 years. Maybe even a bit less than 5 we can make it. And when you have started, I think we are in the good direction. Thank you.
Excellent. No, thank you so much, Joseph. No, this means a lot. Yeah, this definitely means a lot. You know, so when you say maybe a bit earlier, that actually reminded me that, and something for the national partners to think about. In Kenya, Dr. Ruth, please correct me if I'm wrong. In Kenya, the NRDS2 strategy, which was originally designed for to end in 2030, Minister says, no, not 2030. I want it to be done, you know, before that. So 2027 is the target for that. 2027 is the revised target to accomplish the goals set in NRDS2. Maybe this is something for other countries also to think about. How can we really, you know, take it a bit earlier than the target? Yeah, thank you again. So any other reflection? Maybe because can I come to you? Something from Asia.
Thanks, Ajay, and very important discussions are going on. What I have seen, like as from our earlier visit from the crowd group, the national partner is having true potential to become self-sufficient. The trials data suggests that the new sets of breeding line is really having a potential to take over. And the good part, what we are talking about recently, like now Sankalp is also talking about the new sets of breeding lines, what we are working with our national partners are matching the national priorities, what they want to eat, what type of requirements are there. So I'm really excited to see the new developments happening, and as you have mentioned, the revised targets for 2027. I'm also completely confident that it is achievable with teamwork and how we are working. So all the best wishes from South Asia also. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vikas. So I'm sure you noticed that we also have someone who traveled all the way from Latin America. Christian, can you just raise your hand? So Christian, who is representing CIAT and FLA, and he is with us, over this 3-4 days or 5 days. So Christian, I'm sure you have your presentation, of course, right? But would you like to come in very quickly and share some thoughts from Latin America? No, I know you have your presentation, sure, together with Sharad, right? But would you like to comment something now or later? Now? Okay, good.
Good morning, everyone. in Latin America implemented the direct seed. Usually in another country the yield is 6 and 70 kilogram 7 kilogram per ton per hectare, and another country produce Uruguay has 10 and 9 ton per hectare. That is usually implement practice and agronomics and the different use efficient of the water, and the principal activity the Uruguay is export. This is focus in the market. It's very, very important. Okay. Good.
Thank you. Yeah. All right. So I think, Pauline, with that, probably we can conclude, and then we can move on.
To have witnessed, it doesn't matter how many varieties we develop. You can say we develop 100 varieties in 1 year, and nobody really will take note of that. What it is very clear right now, and you can see yesterday from the reaction of the government officials, and in any forum that you talk, what really important for them is what is working with farmers, how much difference is there. And I think there is, at least now we have a couple of cases in the region that are really a kind of, they raise the balls of whoever we talk to. And these are the Kamboka case in Kenya, which came clearly now. It's basically the adoption there. And the second one is the case in Burundi, where we have raised the national productivity by about 2 tons per hectare, again in a short period of time. So it seems to me now it is time for us really to focus our efforts. I think we are doing very well, our pipelines are working well, we are generating very good backing data to move forward, and we are sure that these pipelines will continue and sustain their delivery. The step for us now is to look into how can we strengthen the things that can really recognize our work. We need to have this model of Kamboka in Kenya replicated, as Sankab also mentioned that, in other countries. Let's just start with a few countries and make sure that in a couple of years we have varieties, good varieties in these countries, focus on two, and also make that pathway. I think once it establishes, then any varieties that come will follow through soon. The other most important one is what we are learning from Latin America, from our colleagues in CIAT, and I'm good that I have Christine here to share with us this experience of direct seeded rice and working directly with partners. That really transformed rice production in Latin America in again very short period of time. It's something that we started on, but we really have to take it to the second step. And again, take the same model where we can take that in 1 or 2 countries where we can really demonstrate the progress of this system. Shalab and all colleagues who are working on this system are here. We need them to quickly fit in with technologies, varieties that are available, how the system could be managed, and we should start having that on the farm. If we demonstrate 2, 3 things that are moving forward and making an impact, resources will not be a problem for us. You know that all the donors really are focusing on Africa. So I think it is time for us to think back and have few interventions that are really could make a difference and can demonstrate our progress and push this through. And it's very clear that our NARS are capable, and IRRI is putting all of its weight behind us right now. Even in having more staff in the region, that is also possible, and that will help us also generate more resources. So let us work together towards this, be more focused and show more impact in the region so that we can see Africa can really reach the same level or even exceed what Asia is doing right now, because we still have a lot of resources. Asia does not have that. So it is possible for us to really be self-sufficient, and also I think many parts of the world are looking for Africa right now as the future source of food, and this is reality. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Well, so
and what I thought was the best would be to update about IRRI's direct seeded rice flagship. I think this is something that I take a lot of pride myself. We have worked very hard in the last 3-4 years to bring this to shape, specifically in the breeding side of things. And what I would like to do now today is to show what we are doing right now in terms of this flagship. Part of this also relates to the early maturity breeding program because of the pipelines that we are running in that program. So IRRI actually in a few years back we decided that while most of our work is driven by projects, by the donors and things like that, and we need to have certain flagships that we see as priority for IRRI, and so these 4 different flagships were then identified. Direct seeded rice is one of them, nutrition, dissemination and scaling, and climate resilient farming. And when we look into these flagships, the idea is basically we make progress in this one, and then once we realize that there is enough progress made in one of them, we can drop one of those flagships and focus on another different flagship and so on. So at this point of time, IRRI has 4 of these flagships, direct seeded rice being one of the topmost of that flagship. And I will be describing a little bit about the activities that are going on in this flagship in the area of breeding in particular. And then after me, Christian will come in and cover a little bit about what they are doing in direct seeded rice in CIAT and flour. Not to repeat a lot of this, I think most of us are well aware of these challenges in the modern day rice cultivation. What I would like to do, however, is to connect a little bit Africa perspective into each of these challenges. We see that greenhouse gas emissions in rice fields is a major challenge in Asia, for example. In many countries where rice is grown in millions of hectares, we have that challenge. That might not be such a serious challenge at this point here, but eventually as the rice sector will grow, we can, we have to see that we grow in a way that, it is sustainable for long term, and it is also environmentally, it doesn't have a big environmental footprint. So that's one thing. Water scarcity is another thing. In Africa, mainly water scarcity in most of the cases is economic, which means, we have the water, we don't have entirely the infrastructure to capture that water in some cases, and in some cases it's really, there is no water. So, we really need to work on a rice system that consumes less amount of water in general. Labor scarcity may not be such a problem, but the cost of production is a problem, as I understand, in Africa, and it's with direct seeding, it's actually quite a benefit if we are able to adequately mechanize at various levels. We might be able to bring down the cost of production as well. Of course, there are issues related to drudgery, related to diseases. I heard from some in the past, we talked about malaria being a problem near rice growing areas and so on and so forth. So these are aspects that we also need to work with. Crop management issues are there. In Africa, it's not such an intensive cropping system, so it might not be such a quick succession planting. Asia, it is a problem. But here also, in places where we can manage cropping systems better with direct seeded rice, it might be advantageous. Income differences is a major problem in Asia. Farm versus non-farm income there is a big gap, and I have actually looked into data for Africa as well, and that seems to be the same pattern and growing as we talk about. So these are definitely the aspects that are affecting rice cultivation these days, and when it comes to direct seeded rice, this technology actually checks most of those boxes that I outlined. So in terms of environmental benefit, we are talking about water saving, we are talking about reduced methane emissions, overall global warming potential is also reduced, and then the timely planting for the succeeding crop, if there is an intensive cropping. May not be the case in every place in Africa, but still that's a benefit that we can talk about. Also, there is a lot of benefit in terms of the socio-economic aspects. There are labor savings, there is improved possibility of mechanizations. There is also general net income is increased, reduced cost of production, and the yields are similar or higher in many cases if we are planting the right varieties. And that is the piece that we will be talking about, if we are planting the right varieties. That is the key piece that I will be addressing in most of the slides to come after this. So look at the DSR area around the globe. When we did the market segmentation exercise, we collected this information, and if you see here, just because the rice area is mainly concentrated in Asia, You can see that the darkest of the colors are located in Asia, and over here as well in terms of direct seeding there is still considerable area, but not as much as Asia, of course, which is understandable. But when you look into the percentage of rice area which is direct seeded by country, some of the darkest colors are located here in Africa, in East Africa in particular. And that's an important aspect. The things are direct seeded already, and I think we can directly move into that direction instead of what we are having in Asia, where we are having transplanted systems, and it's a hard thing for the farmers to change to the direct seeded systems right now. So here we are starting with a clean slate. We can actually make progress in this direction as we go along. So the DSR flagship, a little bit of an overview here. There are various aspects on which we are working in the rice breeding department of IRRI, plant breeding, product development being the center of, being one of the first ones, mechanization, seed systems, capacity building, market intelligence and policy and trade development. These are some of the key areas where we work within the rice breeding department of IRRI towards the direct seeded rice, to make sure that we have adequate rice varieties which are suitable for direct seeded systems. A little bit about the kind of the roadmap that we are looking for in the next 5 years. We're talking about some projects here. Basically, I'm trying to show you how we have aligned, various donor priorities and projects into this flagship. So you see here there's a list of 3 main projects that are running for direct seeded systems. First is the CTH improvement plans. This is all about developing infrastructure, and infrastructure is being developed in the headquarters in the Philippines, in India, as well as here in Calro, in Moya, where we have developed this direct seeded rice facility. At the same time, the second phase of this is currently ongoing, where we are purchasing machinery, and that will be, where partners will also be included for the, we will be providing seeders and other kind of machineries for the partner sites as well. Then we have the Plant Direct project, which is basically concentrated into the Indo-Gangetic plains, where we are actually looking into developing the breeding lines and so on and so forth. And then we have the USAID Buyers, Scale Direct project, which is mainly focusing on the seed systems aspects, but also a lot of testing in Africa as well as in the Asian countries beyond the Indo-Gangetic plains that are not covered by the Gates project. So basically the idea is to align the projects in such a way that they contribute to one or the other piece of the flagship activities, and we make sure that we make progress where we are actually, we make progress towards our vision. These are the 11 pipelines that IRRI works with. This market segmentation and other aspects will be covered in more details. I will not go much into detail here, but only thing that there are 4 of these 11 that are direct seeded. And they are actually highlighted here, their areas and everything, and which are the major countries that are contributing to this pipeline and the type of effort that we put in, and so on. A little bit about the early maturity direct seeded networks that we are talking about. We have various sites in this program where we have, increased from just 10 sites or so to all the way to 50 sites and so on. But at the same time, what I want to highlight here is that there is a lot of sites in East and Southern Africa, mainly for the pipelines that we talked about yesterday. And at the same time, what we are hoping is that we will grow further in the region, as well as cover more ground and so on, and then hopefully be able to bring more better material, cover more ground, characterize the TPE better and so on. So this actually is the strongest piece of the work that we do. Without this piece, we will not be relevant in the region, and I think this is something that we should all really be proud of. And I also give a lot of credit towards our regional teams here, who have made sure that we are able to stay connected with the partners, and we are able to make progress in the region. A little bit about direct seeded rice and the trade requirements. What we have seen is, in the past also, people would say, we have got direct seeded rice varieties because they yield better in direct seeded systems. But that is not the only requirement. When it comes to direct seeding, we are talking about a system change. We are talking about the first 1 month of the crop being completely different. And that makes a lot of difference. It may yield as much as it does, but if it will not survive, it will not yield. As simple as that. So what is important is that we talk about a complete plant type, which means that there are a set of traits that are essential to move towards that plant type. We cannot call something direct seeded suitable if certain traits which are related to those risk management strategies in direct seeded systems, in the direct seeded setups, if they're not there, then we should not be calling them direct seeded suitable varieties. So these are those traits that we have listed: the early and uniform emergence, anaerobic germination, nematode resistance, lodging, early vigor, canopy, drought tolerance, and so on and so forth. They're all listed here. We consider them as essential for direct seeded systems, and we try and make crosses in such a way that we move closer and closer and improve these traits generally across our germplasm. And then, of course, you can breed for yield and select for yield and quality and all the other aspects, of course. But the general level of level of these traits in the DSR germplasm need to be high. That's the first and foremost requirement. Otherwise, we will be sending a risky germplasm in the farmer's field, which may or may not be successful. Little bit about the core panel of direct seeded rice program. So what we have created actually is some of these lines from various efforts in the IRRI's breeding program. There have been so many efforts in terms of drought resistance, anaerobic germination, all the other kind of various traits that I listed there. Various breeding programs were working and so on. So what we did was we collected the early maturing material from all of those and tested them in the direct seeded systems, around 20,000 of those lines, and then basically came down to around 393 that form the core of this breeding program now. So what you look here is basically, these pink bars are basically a list of the popular varieties that are available in Asian. These are mostly Asian varieties. And those four blue bars are basically the means of the top 25, then the next 25%, and the next 25%, and the next 25% of the core panel. So this is the overall variation for a given trait in the core panel. So there are the mean of the top 25% of the lines is actually higher than the highest performing line in the market currently in Asia, for example. So we are not talking about one or two, or I can easily pull out 5 or 10 lines that are really good. But what I wanted to show here is that how that whole material looks like, the 100% of that. So that is what you're seeing for various traits. The first one is yield under DSR, then we are looking at the canopy coverage, that is for the weed competitiveness. Then we are looking at the fast emergence. We are looking for the early vegetative vigor. These are the data. Then we have the drought grain yield over there. Then we have the biotic stresses, BPH, GLH blast. And then we also have germination traits, deep seeding traits at different days after sowing, as well as the anaerobic germination at 14 days and 21 days after seeding. Point being that all these traits we are trying to fix first in the germplasm so that we generally start at a higher level when it comes to DSR adaptation. Otherwise, we will be sending a risky germplasm in the field. So with these traits getting slowly fixed towards the target, what we can now focus is actually on grain quality and yield and other things without bothering about the risk associated with the absence of these traits. And then of course, the same thing that I just basically described. We use the one rice breeding strategy. We have been listening about this time and again. Everybody is well aware of this. We use the same strategy to breed varieties in our program, and as well as in the medium maturity program where the DME LSI pipeline runs. That is where they are also using the same strategy to breed for their pipeline as well. Let me share some pictures from the headquarters. These are the trials that we are conducting. So this is the 4-hectare facility. Actually, there is a 14-hectare facility where all the 4 programs are able to plant under direct seeded conditions. This is the part of the infrastructure development that I was talking about. And we have got the drought trials, we have got the dry direct seeded trials, and so on and so forth. Just some pictures to share how these trials look like. The more important pictures that I wanted to share is the Nares field sites, which don't look different from the headquarters site. This is what makes me very happy, that the Nares site pictures actually do not look any different from what we have got in the headquarters. And this is actually sites from Africa, in particular Fakara and others. I really congratulate the teams here to be able to set up this kind of experiment under direct seeding. It's hard work, I can understand. I do that myself, I know very well. So really congratulate everybody, how you're handling this. Some line nominations happened in the last year, and I'm anticipating some of them will happen here also. And that is why I put them as anticipated nominations right now. We will see how it goes. But at the same time, as I highlighted earlier, we also need to be seeing how these varieties will make into the release system, and then beyond that as varieties, we need to have the right testing setup so that the right traits are screened and the right material is sent into the system. We can do whatever it is pre-release, but if they are sent into a completely different release pipeline and it's not matching enough, then we might have trouble selecting the right lines for the release process. In fact, countries like India and others, they have just decided to put a dedicated AfricaRice trial for direct seeded rice based on the interventions that we have done with our team in South Asia as well. A little bit about the Center of Excellence. I've been talking about this quite a few times. One of the sites here is in Kenya, that is in Moya. That is a 4-hectare site. We have prepared the fields there. There is an automated drip irrigation system that is available there. And what we want to do is set that site up as sort of a model site where we will have an end-to-end mechanization system available for everyone to look at, where you can go look into things, learn about those machines, and adopt what is best suited for your own programs. I really hope that that will be something that will become sort of like a field laboratory for DSR, where you can try and test things, try and test technologies, varieties, machines, whatever you like, and then basically even agronomic practices for that matter, and then adopt that into the actual package of practice and so on. We are now currently working with various companies to sort of mechanize these fields, and that includes co-designing some machines and so on. So later this year or early next year, you will be receiving some of the machines, that is the plot planters. We are currently in the process of designing them in India, so you will then be able to plant direct seeded rice breeding trials by machines. You don't have to do it by hand. And this is something that I really want to achieve with the key sites here. The other thing that I would like to really request and encourage is that once you get those machines, let's find local suppliers who can design those. We don't want that we keep bringing it from elsewhere, and the local capacity needs to increase as well. So I think once those are there, it's not difficult to. They are not very high-tech type of machines. They are very robust systems. Can be easily designed here. I think that can be something that we need to look into.